Hello, this is Elizabeth Creamer. I'm coming to you from Blacksburg, Virginia, and I want to talk to you about a strategy that's right on the edge of qualitative research as we know it conventionally and mixed methods research. And this is a territory I often border. And I want to talk to you about something that I call a coding matrix. You can use this strictly in a qualitative sense. You can use it in a qualitative sense and then morph it into mixed methods. This discussion about this little strategy, this short little video, comes from my own work most recently in using a mixed method approach to grounded theory, and in my most recent book, which won't be out for a while yet in 2024, which how visuals like figures, tables, diagrams, maps can help you analyze data. Not just display your data as an endpoint, but as a way to promote your thinking about your data, to think about it perhaps on a time dimension, or to think about it in a multi-dimension way. And that's what these coding matrices help you do, is to think about your data more holistically. The example I'm going to show you is from a class I used to teach, which was on an advanced research methods graduate level course in grounded theory. And for that course, to teach actual research methods, how do you code? How do you create a coding scheme? How do you do theoretical sampling? All the things that are so core to grounded theory. I used an unconventional approach, and that is what I used a movie. And we coded scenes in the movie, just like you would in an observation, say, of a classroom. We coded scenes from a movie and then developed a grounded theory. I described some of that with my colleagues, students from the class, in the publication that is listed on the slide. So here's an example of a coding matrix that a student of mine, Kelly Woods Johnson, developed in 2014. So this is a while ago. And let me give you some dimensions of the coding matrix. So this is after the coding scheme had been developed inductively, which is classic grounded theory, although some say it's abductively. So the codes had been developed and defined. This matrix came at the end of the process of coding. It's organized by scene 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because in this case, there were 6 specific scenes in the movie. We didn't code the whole movie. We only coded 6 scenes where the so-called client, Matt Damon, interacted with the so-called counselor, Robin Williams. Each of those scenes was broken down into an incident. So you can see that across 6 scenes, some had the scene even was broken down further into 6 interactions, 4 interactions, 10 interactions. So you have here 30, 40 interactions, verbal exchanges between the client and the patient. We didn't even, between the client and the counselor, we didn't even touch what we could have done with verbal behavior and context. So this was just straight interaction patterns. Someone could do a same thing who was observing teachers and students interacting one-on-one, students interacting with other students during a collaboration. You could do it with observation students out on a playground. So you develop a coding scheme and then really display your data in what I'm calling a coding matrix. The X really is like a dichotomous variable. It's a yes or no, present or absent. It shows 1 time per incident. So it's only coding it once per incident. If you were out in a playground, it might be like every 5 minutes was an incident, and you coded what was going on in those 5 minutes. then another 5 minutes. So the first thing a coding matrix allows you to do is, number one, to see your data all together. And your goal when you start looking at all together is to try to see patterns in this that go across horizontally between the client and the counselor, or that went vertically to show the time dimensions. So the incidents occurred at different points of time. So this allows you to consider something. How does a phenomena, how do actions, how do behaviors change over time? Here you could go across, simply across, horizontally, to look at what is the therapist doing relative to the patient, the client. Action, reaction, action, reaction, action, reaction. That doesn't even get to how does the therapist, or how does the actor's behavior or actions change over time, which would be the other dimension. So this is allowing you to spot patterns and behaviors, to propose, well, maybe this is related to that, maybe this is related to that. So you can get into seeing relationships and testing them. So here's a very primitive way of moving from qualitative to quantifying. Some people consider that a no-no in qualitative, but it's right on the border between qualitative, and you can quantify those X's and see and test patterns that you, or themes that you might have generated from the table. So in this case, it's exploring one hypothesis that emerged that essentially is a hypothesis about mirroring, that as the therapist shared personal information, the hypothesis was then the client would share personal information. That isn't totally supported by this bar graph, as there really is a pause in here in this particular video where the client resists what the therapist is doing. But here's a simple way to move from the coding matrix to quantifying. It's very dependent on a good code book, a good coding dictionary, which clearly defines each of the terms and how they're being coded. So there you have it, is a little summary to play around with the idea of a coding matrix. I will be putting this in the YouTube channel. I'll put the slides at academia as well. I play around with have played around with other YouTubes that you can find on the channel, and some of them I've listed here. So I hope this is a technique or strategy or tool that would be useful to you.